For this video, we are going to need some dice. And like our last video, I'm not going to tell you what math concepts our art project is going to revolve around. You're just going to have to figure it out as we go. You will need a piece of graph paper, a black pen, colored pencils or markers, and of course, our dice. To start off the project, you're going to take your dice and roll them. What numbers did you get? Using those values, you are going to create a rectangle. Depending on the numbers you rolled, you might make a square as well. One value becomes the length of the shape, and the other becomes the width. For example, I rolled a 6 and a 2, so I made my rectangle 6 units long and 2 units wide. Roll the dice again and draw another rectangle. You can even overlap your shapes to make it more interesting. Keep rolling the dice and drawing your figures until you are satisfied. If you have some blank space, you can also cut it off, just like I did. And after that, it's time for color. And ta-da! You should get something like this. And that's it! You've finished your art project! Isn't it cool? So what concepts do you think we were able to explore through this project? Pause the video and try to answer this question on your own first. Well, two concepts that I found were area and probability. Let's explore area first. By drawing the rectangles using the values that we found from the dice, what are we essentially doing to the two numbers? Well, we know that the area of a rectangle is length times width, right? And by making a rectangle with the two values being the dimensions of the shape, the area is just the product of the two numbers. Still a little confused? Let's take an example. The two values we rolled here were 5 and 6, and because 5 times 6 is 30, we think that that's the area of the rectangle. To check if this is right, we can count the number of squares that make up the rectangle. And what do we get? We count 30 squares, which is also the area we calculated. So we know that what we said was right. Now for probability. What even is probability? It essentially is the area of math that explores how likely something will occur. So in the case of our art project, how likely is it that we will roll a certain number on our dice? The probability of something occurring is basically the number of times it occurs out of the number of total times you test it out. So for one dice, let's list out all the numbers we can roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the only things we can roll for one dice. So the total number of arrangements, or the total times, is 6. Let's take, for example, the number 1. How probable is it that we will roll a 1? Well, out of the 6 different arrangements, you can only roll a 1 once. So the number of times it can occur is 1. Out of the total arrangement of the total times is 6. This makes the probability 1 over 6, which can also be converted into a percentage of about 16.667%. Let's try another. What if we wanted to know the probability that we would roll a 4 or a 5? Well, out of the 6 total times, we can only roll a 4 or 5 twice, right? So the probability would be 2 over 6, which can be simplified to 1/3, which can be converted to about 33.333%. Now it's time to do one on your own. What is the probability that we don't roll an even number? Pause the video and try to do it on your own. Well, out of the 6 numbers, only 3 are not even. So that means we have 3 over 6 as a probability. That can be simplified to 1/2 and then converted into 50%. But we don't only have one dice, we have two. Let's list out all the possible arrangements we can roll with two dice. The number on the left is for the first dice and the one on the right is for the second dice. Whoa! So for two dice, there are 36 different combinations. A lot more than just one dice. What is the probability that we can roll a 1 or a 4? Out of the 36 different combinations, we count 20 that have a 1 or a 4. So our probability will be 20 out of 36, which simplifies to 5 over 9 and can be converted into 55.556%. What is the probability that we roll an outcome with a 5 and a 4? Remember, it is and, not or. We only find two outcomes with both 4 and 5 in them, so the probability is 2 over 36, which equals 1 over 18 and can be converted into 5.556%. The lower your percentage or the probability, the less likely you are to roll that. And the higher your percentage or the probability, the more likely you are to roll that. Now, what is the probability that both the dice will roll the same number? Try this on your own and pause the video. Out of the 36 total arrangements, we only count 6 outcomes, so the probability is 6 out of 36, which can be simplified to 1 over 6 and converted into 16.667%. From this, we can also tell that we are more likely to roll a 1 or a 4 than roll 2 of the same numbers. Well, I really hoped you liked this multiplication drawing game / project. My challenge for you is to find the probability of other outcomes as well. Check the description if you also want some more practice. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!